Welcome to Money Talks. I'm Genevieve Westcott with your latest financial news from across New Zealand and around the world. In this edition, you're not going to like this. New Zealand commodity prices fall again in the biggest drop since 2009. The leading culprits, dairy and kiwi fruit. How come world markets aren't buying into the good news that Europeans have come to grips with the crippling debt crisis? And why has Greece suddenly got cold feet? And the cost of the Maui gas leak for dairy, meat, bread, and sugar. They all took a big hit, costing the country up to $75 million a day. Can we compensate? Joining me now is ASB rural economist James Shortall and the National Business Review's editor-in-chief, Nevil Gibson. And the talk of the week, of course, has been the recent debt deal done over in Europe, and now it's all changed again. Nevil.
Well, it was very much a left field situation for the Prime Minister of Greece, going to the public and getting them to support the austerity measures through a referendum.
What happened last week in very simple terms? What did the European countries decide to do?
Oh, well, France and Germany got together and did come up with a bailout package, which essentially means that there's a standby facility, it's called, but that's basically getting the European Central Bank in there with a big bailout package. And so that's
100 billion euros.
That's right. It's a lot of money, way beyond our comprehension. But the deal, of course, is that Greece has to still raise some tax revenue on its own and cut back its public service. This is highly unpopular.
And yet Greece appears to have agreed to this deal a week ago. And now, James, they've not only agreed to take, $100 billion off the European countries, the Europeans were also going to let them get away with 50% of the debt that's owed. That's not bad, is it?
Well, you'd think it's not too bad, but I guess they've looked at the numbers and just realised that there's no way that they're going to be able to pay them back. You know, the deficits in coming years are going to be too big, they're too far underwater, they've got to cut their losses and try and insulate this, but see an orderly default. And I guess the real risk right now, and the question marks I think the markets are having, is that if this referendum doesn't go through, there's going to be a default. It's not going to be orderly, it's going to be ugly. So that's the real issue, I think.
And do we risk seeing the rise of the drachma again? Are they going to be out of the euro completely?
Well, see, there's a strong group of opinion based on Argentina, what happened there. They just went out on their own, they defaulted and paid the consequences. But Argentina's now got quite a flourishing economy. It's brought in a lot of rules that are different from the rest of the world, so they didn't buy into globalisation, but they got a huge exporting and so on. But it did wipe out the middle class along the way.
Yeah, there you go. And the middle class in Greece has certainly been out protesting non-stop. They don't want any part of this. They don't want any austerity measures.
They don't like paying taxes either, and that's one of the problems. And I don't know what the immigration situation there is in Greece, but you know, it's got a great climate. You'd think a lot of people want to go and live there, and maybe they should attract more people to go there, charge them to go and live there. I know that German tourists aren't popular there because the German taxpayer is going to end up paying for it one way or another.
Yeah, exactly. The Greece president now wants to have a referendum. Is this the sign of strong leadership? Doesn't he know what he has to do? What's he going to the people for?
Well, I guess he's trying to get the support. I mean, he's got people that are angry in the streets. They don't want to do these things. But if you can somehow it's a risky manoeuvre, very risky, considering probably some of the sentiment it seems he's been getting over recent weeks, which seems pretty marginal. And that's what I think the market is really concerned about. But if he is able to get across the line, then he can say, well, you've supported me, you've supported these issues, and let's get on with the job. But the question mark is whether that's going to happen, and that's what everyone's worried about, I think.
And of course, Greece now wants another meeting before the G20 summit, which is happening almost any moment now. What do you think the discussion's going to be around that boardroom table, Nevil?
Well, I've already got the banks in there taking that 50% cut. That's a huge step forward because that's really a non-Greek issue. But the main one is, as James says, is whether it's actually viable for Greece to ever have a growing economy that can have any hope of paying back this huge deficit the government's run up.
Chinese growth has slowed down a little bit this week in the manufacturing sector. What do you think is going to happen to China over the next year?
Well, it's true, it is slowing down, and but China's not really, I don't think, one of your global citizens yet. It's sort of acting really in its own interests. It's got to get the property prices down, that's because there's a bubble threat there. And they don't really care that much about the rest of the world. They still want to suck in all the resources and so on. So I don't think they really can be judged alongside, say, what the United States is doing or the EU. But coming back to Europe just for a minute, the real worry there is Italy. It's got a very unstable government and even bigger deficit. That's the one, you will not be able to go back to the lira. That will actually kill the whole euro experiment, if you want to put it that way.
Okay, let's look here at home, a little closer to home now. New Zealand dollar, of course, is up and down. We hit, 81 cents yesterday, already today down to 79?
Yeah, I mean, last week when this announcement was made, then it was great news for markets. Everyone got excited, and the Kiwi dollar went to 82 cents. So we actually started, first thing Monday morning, we were trading around that 82 cent mark against the US. Now, all of a sudden, with the news overnight, as well as the Reserve Bank of Australia announcement yesterday, then we've seen the dollar drop back. We're now under 80 cents once again, trading like a 79, 75 sort of early on Wednesday morning. So we're all over the show a little bit and really taking the flows from the international market.
Kiwi commodity prices have fallen, biggest since 2009. Not good news, Neville.
Well, this reflects the big uncertainty around the world, and if China is slowing down, obviously it's going to take a bit of demand out, because food commodities, strangely enough, even though we've just got, 7 billion people, food commodities seem to be linked to hard commodities, so they're all coming down. And I think there's a degree of speculation has been taken out of those markets. Notice with the swings in the share market, commodities tend to go up and down at the same time. Gold, oil, these sort of commodities are also falling.
So are we seeing a new trend, as you say, where soft commodities like food will now be linked more to the hard commodities? Kiwi fruit down 17%.
Well, yes, I think there's a degree of speculation that's been built in there, and when there's the risk on, risk off, and people see some of the high risk comes down, obviously food prices will flatten a bit, but they are still projected by the US Agricultural Department and others to keep rising, so there's going to be no end to food inflation overall.
Well, good to know that the Americans believe in us anyways. Yeah. Okay, James, let's talk about dairy prices down again on the world platforms. What's the latest?
Yeah, the latest auction overnight down 1.2% on a trade-weighted basis, so it's a bit of a change from we saw 2 weeks ago prices rose for the first time in 4 months.
Very slightly.
Very, very, very marginally, and really prices have been falling for 4 months. They haven't been not significant falls, just been drifting, but it really does reflect that, some of the points that Nevil's made. International markets very uncertain. We're also seeing really strong production increases out of a lot of places around the world, including us here at home in New Zealand with the spring flush. So it's been a good start to the season, and we have seen Fonterra drop their payout forecast last week too.
They have like 45 cents. That's pretty big.
Yeah, I think I wasn't really surprised at the fact that they've dropped their payout forecast, because prices, commodity prices have been falling, and we really did think that we'd need to see prices rise in order to maintain that level around the $6.75 milk price. But just probably around the timing was interesting. Farmers have been paid pretty well on the 20th of October, their previous season's payout, their final payout. So perhaps it was just a bit of a signal, hey guys, just be a little bit careful, be a bit cautious. And in our opinion, unless we do start to see prices rise over the next few months, then we could actually even see further drops in the payout.
More problems recently with the Maui gas pipeline leak. That really affected food manufacturing here in the Upper North Island area and across New Zealand. Millions and millions of dollars. What's the takeaway lesson from what happened?
This was a huge wake-up call. It came out of the blue. The food industry, which has become quite heavily dependent, especially the large manufacturers, on natural gas because it's the best form of energy. But there was no backup, and that's really got them thinking. So a lot of those major manufacturers are going to have some form of backup, be it diesel or something like that. I don't think building extra pipelines is the answer, and obviously they fixed it pretty quickly, so it's almost disappeared from the news already, but the lingering cost there will be hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, and do you think that that it's ever going to come back to those companies? I mean, they're going after the insurers, but the fine print says they may not get very much.
Oh, there's a lot of duck shoving there because the pipeline operator, which was Vector, is not really the retailer. The retailers could be Contact Energy, there's a whole range of them, of course. So the people really got to complain to their immediate provider, then they go back to maybe Maui.
Thanks, gentlemen. Don't go away, because coming up after the break, the race for rural broadband, how the internet and innovative technology will transform the way we farm. It's already happening on this award-winning sheep and beef farm in the Hawke's Bay. Find out more when we come back. But first, answer this in our Farmers Facts and Figures quiz. According to a UK survey that polled 250,000 retail outlets across 43 countries, which food product is the most stolen food in the world? The answer when we come back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Money Talks. Just before the break, we asked you, which food product is the most stolen food in the world? It seems that thieves say yes please to cheese. 4% goes missing from store shelves around the world. No surprises there with the rising prices of the stuff. We're back now to talk about the new technology available on farm. ASB is running a whole series of special reports this week on Country 99 TV, demonstrating some of the amazing developments. James, you've been involved in that. You've been on the road. What sorts of things are we going to be seeing?
Well, we're focusing on a couple of different topics: traceability, productivity improvements, sustainability, and diversification. So we're seeing all sorts of different things, potentially what the future of farming is going to look like, and how farmers are doing different things on their farm to really generate more money for themselves, and it's pretty exciting. I've learned a lot over the past couple of weeks.
Take a look, viewers.
So the cows obviously come on there on the bridge, and then as they come on, they're scanned through a scanner that scans their EID, which is up in front of the cows' heads there.
Yep.
And then
so
all the
through the ear tag.
Yep, through the little button in the ear, and all that information is relayed to the computer behind the milker. We have milk meters in our cow shed, which are these little boxes up above the milkers there. So twice a day, that's measuring the cow's milk, and that's just enabling us to make management decisions regarding that. So.
That's just one of 4 technologically advanced farms James has been investigating throughout New Zealand. Joining us now is Steve Rieger of Vodafone. Steve, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
There's been a lot of talk about rolling out rural broadband. Our country cousins have been lagging behind for far too long. Vodafone expects to spend between $50 and $80 million of its own money above its share of the $285 million rural broadband initiative. That's to upgrade high-speed internet services in rural areas over the coming 6 years. So, Steve, let's kick it off. Where is it at right now?
Well, it started on the 1st of July and Chorus began to connect the rural schools. Once they go to a region with a school connected, we can then build some new infrastructure, a tower, and deliver high-speed broadband from those towers. And those towers will be open for everybody to come, so we expect in some cases 3, 4, even 5 operators between all the mobile companies and the fixed wireless organisations, and they'll be providing competitive services.
Neville, when you look around the world, how would you say that we are faring from a rural perspective when it comes to things like broadband?
Well, I think we'd be well ahead, because if you look at the highly technological societies, they're very concentrated, like Korea, Japan, Singapore, these sort of places. They don't have large rural hinterlands, and if we've got farmers that are as well connected as, say, those in North America, I think we'll be right out there in the front.
What amazing things will farmers be able to do 5 years from now that they can't do today?
I think the real big wins will come in this whole area called machine to machine. So instead of person to person, you and I use our phone to talk to each other, or you connect via your laptop to the internet, we will have machines talking to machines, and we estimate within sort of 10 years there'll be 20 million machines in New Zealand alone, and a lot of them will be rural. If we then extend that to, say, livestock, and the AirTag initiative of Nate will allow tracking of animals. So very quickly you've got a whole ecosystem of measuring, monitoring, and then managing all your inputs. It could be fertiliser, it could be moisture, it could be effluent, it could be your stock weight. And you combine all of that together and then start intensively managing all of those inputs, you've got a big productivity gain.
Of course, a key phrase for all farmers is productivity. How is this going to improve productivity? James, what do you predict we're going to be seeing soon?
Well, I think we're going to see with the data and the ability to monitor all those things, and you start to, what I've found talking to a lot of farmers through ASB Innovation Week is that we've been able, that once they've got the information on hand, then they can start to make the management decisions pretty quickly and effectively on a day-to-day basis to change their system in order to get the most out of the resources they have available on farm. What about opportunities around, waste systems on troughs and things like that?
All of that.
They can send it directly. You don't even have to weigh them. They
do it themselves. And in fact, the farmer can be asleep, and as the animals are moving around, they'll go through a gateway and they'll track whatever is happening to that.
Is it going to be cheap? I mean, what kind of investment now are farmers going to have to make, because they're very, they're very cost conscious like everybody else?
The actual measuring and monitoring will be very inexpensive. What will happen though is you'll invest in new equipment, and there'll be some cost to that. But eventually, it'll be a straight economic decision, and I think it'll be very, very logical, and there'll be a lot of investment put into it.
What are some of the big challenges you've had trying to roll out rural broadband?
Resource consent. We build an infrastructure which is not everybody's favourite view, and even though rurally we put it in places that is as far away from eyesight as possible, we've still got a process to work through, and that can be challenging.
And of course, depending on where you are in the country, that's going to change, right?
True, and that links to our geography. We are not an easy country to deliver wireless broadband.
You've talked a lot about livestock, that sort of management, but what about in the horticultural area? Obviously, they monitor fruit, crops, and that sort of thing. There'll be huge gains there, wouldn't there?
There are, and in fact, they may be the first to take it up. We've already got fertiliser spreading being tracked by Ravensdown on their spreaders. The same with a lot of the intensive horticultural irrigation can be all completely tracked via GPS and via broadband, and then their activity is monitored and managed through that.
So we'll be able to teach the Dutch a few tricks or two, will we, about intensification?
Yes, we will. Certainly, and I believe we already are. New Zealand's right up there. The New Zealand agriculture sector, with this additional advantage, will be just move another notch ahead.
And we've already got universities are in there with doing research and so on.
And they have a lot of conversation with us as well. We have quite a lot of input from them as to how they're thinking and what will the technology enable, so that they can start putting those plans together. That happens today.
Steve, who are the world leaders when it comes to rural broadband?
Germany.
And tell me about their system and what makes it so great.
In October last year, they launched their next generation. We are just beginning our plans for it here. So the 4G or LTE, long-term evolution, they launched, and that is really high speed broadband. So it delivers a broadcast at 100 megabits per second right throughout the German landscape. That's faster than we get in any of our cities today on fixed infrastructure. They're delivering wirelessly to rural Germany, and it's performing fantastically. The average performance that a German farmer gets is about 20 megabits per second across his farm, and with that he can do anything. He's got iPads on his tractor or on his farm bike, and he is monitoring and measuring, and he's real time.
And realistically, how fast can we go here? I mean, what do you envision 20 years from now?
20 years from now, I can't. It's going to be just rocket ship. There's this point where speed just becomes irrelevant. It's that fast.
How do New Zealanders do generally when it comes to using the internet? How au fait are we for such a tiny country so far away?
Very. We have a very high mobile and fixed broadband penetration. We're world class, certainly in the top sort of half of the OECD. And as far as sort of the usage stats that we see, we're progressing just at the same rate as the rest of the world. Our data consumption is growing at about 4 or 5 times a year at the moment.
Okay.
So one of the interesting things I think it's going to be over the next couple of years is knowledge sharing and sharing experiences online for farmers. I've tried this thing on my farm. I think it works. Why don't you give it a go? All that. What's your opinion on that sort of?
They'll do it with video. You'll see it. Two farmers will be able to show each other what they're doing because cameras are so good on small but very mobile devices, and they'll just be able to I'll ring you and show you what I'm doing with a really high quality camera.
Are we going to need fewer farmers long term in New Zealand with all this technology?
I don't think so. I think we might actually get more because there's a huge social infrastructure about living in rural New Zealand that has been broken because of a lack of communications, and we see that by enabling this, the reason to shift to the city will be removed.
Steve, there'll be a huge spin-off in lifting agriculture as a kind of a high-tech industry.
Absolutely.
And attract more young people into it, because that's one of the big problems up till now.
It is. That's where they're really, really struggling. So, for all the kids that you see wandering around downtown Auckland, glued to their little
They'll do it
screens.
They'll do it anywhere.
Yeah. So it may be the salvation.
I think it'll be a huge bonus socially, as well as the attraction to families and to the young talent too.
And we'll probably see more people living in the countryside, as in Germany, where really you're not that far away from any city, are you?
No, you're not.
What about the next couple of years? What's the advice for farmers? To take on some of these new challenges. Someone that perhaps has got dial-up or thereabouts. How do they go through that process of taking on some of these new technologies and things?
Get connected. That's the very first thing. You can't ignore the fact that the internet's coming. It's just going to enable so much change in your business. So start by getting connected. There is so many people able to teach, train, or develop you if it's not your kids. And from there's just so much available, and it's very intuitive. I don't think it's not a mystery anymore. And if you've just been limited by the fact you haven't had it, and now you've got it, you jump in.
Thanks, gentlemen. Coming up after the break, future-proof on the highways and byways of the economic world. Buckle up as our experts take us along for the ride and point out what they'll be watching over the coming week. But first, answer this in our Farmers Facts and Figures quiz. What percentage has Vodafone lifted its profit in its latest financial year? Find out after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to Money Talks. Just before the break, we asked you, what percentage has Vodafone lifted its profit in its latest financial year? It has lifted it 25%, reporting a net profit of $151.5 million. Not bad. Steve, does this mean you're getting a pay rise?
Probably not. But as one of New Zealand's larger taxpayers, I think hopefully everybody will see that as a positive.
Now, what are you going to be watching over the next week or so? What's caught your fancy?
Some really interesting stuff going on where we're looking at turning our phones into wallets, and your credit cards, your FPOS cards, your loyalty cards, your petrol card,
That's making me shiver over here as a bank.
Yeah, that's right.
can be moved. So instead of having a fat wallet, it's all on the phone. Your securities completely follows you. And the same.
But do you know how many people lose phones, damage phones, whatever? How's that going to work?
If you lose your phone, you just ring, make a phone call, everything is safe. It'd be easier than the current process of having to try and cancel 6 or 7.
Can I quote you on that? Everything will be safe.
Yes, you
Okay,
can.
all right. Good to know.
That's absolutely valid, you can.
As long as those wallets come with some money inside, James, Neville, I might be in. Now, James, what are you watching over the next week?
Oh, I'm watching ASB Rural Innovation Week, of course, the next couple of nights. But,
and of course, you appear in that, and you look
right.
darn good too, I might say.
Oh well, next topic. No, I think tomorrow on Thursday we've got the unemployment figures, so that's going to be from a market's perspective. It'll be interesting. Probably expecting to see unemployment drop a little bit, but ongoing developments out of Europe is going to be key once again. Yeah,
and I see also that there's a report out from the OECD which says that global growth they're really downgrading their forecast. They're predicting hardly anything in 2012.
The key thing to remember though that there's been a lot of downgrades to growth over the past year, but the growth on an aggregate basis has still been reasonably good versus historical averages. So, they've still got the developing countries. China, yes, has slowed down, but still growing 9% above what they typically say. So it's not bad.
Thanks, James. Now, Neville, what about you? Something about Japan. What's going on?
Well, I'm optimistic too. What's coming up though is the APEC meeting, and it's going to be quite critical because Japan is going to, I think, say we want to be part of this Asia-Pacific free trade agreement that New Zealand's already a member of. And that means that President Obama has got the new free trade agenda on the way because he sees that's the way to grow the economy, and the Japanese are going to follow, and that's going to have huge implications for New Zealand and our exports into Japan. Japan's
been working hard on its yen as well.
Well, they are trying to get it down. It's not their fault that the yen keeps going up because it's damaging their exporters, of course. The Japanese business elite want free trade. They'll probably move more jobs offshore, and that's not going to be too popular in Japan. But Japan has got to go through a huge reform of its agricultural system, and the government wants to do it.
Yeah, it has to. It's been in recession for, 20 years now?
That's
Something's
right.
got to change. Gentlemen, I want to thank you very much. Thanks to my guests, James Shortall, Nevil Gibson, and Steve Rieger. Be sure to check out our website and check out our special ASB Rural Innovation Week series this week at 9 p.m. for some of New Zealand's top innovators on farm. You can't miss it. From now until November 4th, Country 99 TV is free to view if you're a Sky subscriber. So be sure to tell all your friends and neighbors to tune in to Channel 99 and check us out. Just remember, cool technology isn't just about boosting your bottom line. It's a whole lot of fun, too.
The type of magic I like uses technology to create illusions. And I prepared these 3 iPods to show you what I mean. One of my favorite magicians is Carl Germain. He had this wonderful trick where a rose bush bloomed right in front of your eyes. But it was his production of a butterfly that was the most beautiful.
Ladies and gentlemen, the creation of light.
Keep the faith. See you next time.